Mortal Kombat has many villains, but only one can claim the title of true villain, as in the big bad in most of the games. Many fans would assume that's Shao Kahn, but they'd be wrong, because Shang Tsung has appeared in more games and thanks to recent titles, he actually wins the day. Shao Kahn only did that once, and Raiden undid everything, whereas Shang Tsung has actually achieved complete victory multiple times, which is impressive, but also ironic, since Shang is also a punk in many of these games. He cowers behind the bigger boss, usually Shao Kahn, but sometimes himself, and also Kronika. Dear God, let me forget about this character. Then eventually, Shang Tsung gets his butt kicked by the good guys. It's hilarious how Shang Tsung is either the victor of everything, or he gives the bigger villain a glug glug 9000. Don't get it twisted, Shang Tsung is always planning somebody's downfall behind the scenes. He picks his moments wisely and betrays his master to become the true villain of Mortal Kombat. He's done this several times, and today we're gonna cover it. For this video, I'm going to rank Shang Tsung in every Mortal Kombat game based on his role in the story. So leave a like down below for Shang Tsung, and if this video gets 2,000 likes, I'll cosplay Shang Tsung in a future video. Yeah, and I'll narrate the entire thing in his voice. Alright, yeah, so without any further ado, let's begin. Starting off with the very first Mortal Kombat game, where Shang Tsung is the final boss. Shao Kahn was not even invented yet, because this first game was one big kung fu movie, alright? Every villain, every character is a parody of action films, specifically kung fu movies, which is why the big bad is a Fu Manchu wearing dude. However, with that said, even in this game, Shang Tsung is less cool than he appears, because the man is hiding behind Goro. That's right, the entire reason this body of muscle competes in the tournament is to keep people from reaching Shang Tsung, because last time the great Kung Lao handed him his cheeks. So he enlisted Goro to make sure that never happened again. Then Liu Kang showed up and defeated Goro. And if you listen closely, you can actually hear Shang Tsung's butthole puckering, because he knew those cheeks were getting clapped again. Obviously for this first game, Shang Tsung goes in the main villain category, but don't forget he hid behind Goro. That's important. Next up is Mortal Kombat 2, where Shang Tsung is about to get killed by Shao Kahn, his puppet master behind the scenes. That's right, the real big bad was upset at Shang Tsung for losing that tournament. It cost him Earthrealm. If Shang Tsung won that tournament, then Shao Kahn would have been free to merge the realms and invade, but he lost, which meant Shao Kahn is back at square one. He has to win 10 Mortal Kombat tournaments in a row, and these tournaments have huge gaps in between them, which means the Emperor is gonna be waiting a while. So yeah, someone's gotta pay for this failure, and it's about to be Shang Tsung until he thinks of a brilliant idea. What if we bait Earthrealm into doing one more tournament right away, winner take all? If Earthrealm manages to win, then they're free from any future tournaments and Shao Kahn will never invade. However, if they lose, it's invasion time right away. No 10 victories in a row. This tournament means everything. Raiden agrees to this new tournament along with the Elder Gods because they know Liu Kang's gonna win. But Shao Kahn doesn't and rewards Shang Tsung's idea with youth. That's right, he makes Shang Tsung young again, which is why you can play as his younger version in this game. And for a quick fun fact, this one game is the only time Shang Tsung can transform into any character he wants at any time. That's right, in later games he can only become his opponent, but in this game he can become literally anyone. It's really cool. Anyways, Liu Kang wins again, Shang Tsung loses again, and it's time for Mortal Kombat 3, where Shao Kahn says screw it, I'm gonna invade anyway, put Sindel on Earth and I'm gonna reclaim her. Yeah, that's the actual plot of MK3, and Shang Tsung leads a group of strong fighters with the sole purpose of killing the greatest Earthrealm warriors, because this invasion needs to succeed, so these strongest fighters in Earthrealm need to die. And wouldn't you know it, Shang Tsung succeeds and kills Liu Kang. Yeah, really crazy. I'm just kidding. Obviously I'm kidding. Of course Shang Tsung loses again, and Shao Kahn loses again as well. Liu Kang is serving cheeks left and right. In every game, he just keeps winning, until a certain game that we'll talk about later. For now, Shang Tsung is a big loser once again, but for another fun fact, Shang Tsung is an Earthrealmer himself, but Shao Kahn taught him soul magic in exchange for betraying his whole realm, and that's why Shang Tsung works for Shao Kahn, which was honestly a terrible decision, because not only is Shao Kahn enslaving him, but also Shang Tsung is forever aging, because that's the curse of learning soul magic. Yeah, it turns out the Elder Gods hate when you absorb souls to get more powerful, so they curse you with eternally aging, which is why Shang Tsung has to constantly consume souls or he will age prematurely and die. Alright, time for Mortal Kombat 4, where Shang Tsung is missing, so we're gonna skip that game. Onward to Deadly Alliance, and every Shang Tsung fan is getting hype right now, because this is Shang Tsung's game. In the opening cutscene alone, Shang Tsung succeeds in killing Shao Kahn and Liu Kang. That's right, the main character of the games and the movies is dead, dead before this game even starts. Before you press one button on that controller, Shang Tsung's already killed ya boy, which yeah is a massive W, and he consumes his soul too, so one massive victory. Which if that's not enough for you, then buckle in, because get this, the Deadly Alliance also succeeds in defeating pretty much every good guy in the Mortal Kombat series. That's right, Sonya, Jax, everyone else falls to the Deadly Alliance. Even Raiden, the God of Thunder, loses to Shang Tsung and his buddy. That's definitely a massive victory for any Shang Tsung fan, which makes this next sentence very ironic. Shang Tsung is missing in Deception, because just like Liu Kang, he dies in the opening cutscene. Yep, and that's almost all we get of Shang Tsung. However, he does appear briefly in Shujinko's backstory, because that takes place in the past, but that's about it for Shang Tsung in this game. So next up, we have Shaolin Monks, which mostly retells the story of past games, but Shang Tsung plays a much bigger role, and that's because he's cosplaying as Raiden for most of the game. That's right, deceiving Kung Lao and Liu Kang at multiple points in the story. And even as the player, it's never 100% clear when it's Raiden or when it's Shang Tsung, which is super cool. However, because this game is a retelling, technically, Shang Tsung loses again, despite being at the peak of his power, which means it's time for Armageddon, where Shang Tsung looks really cool in the opening. He even makes Shao Kahn look goofy here, which is impressive. However, right before snatching victory, zombie Liu Kang shows up and stops him. Though keep in mind that's just the opening. For the actual story itself, Shang Tsung has a brief conversation with Onaga, Quan Chi, and also Shao Kahn, and that's about it. Which means Shang Tsung is a side character and nothing more in this game, which is heavily ironic because this game was meant to end the whole series, and yet the main villain from the first game has such a small role. So next up, let's talk about Mortal Kombat vs. DC, where Shang Tsung actually defeats Liu Kang in a 1v1. That's never happened before. Even in Deadly Alliance, Quan Chi had to help him cheat, but in this game, Shang Tsung actually wins a 1v1. That's never happened before. Shang Tsung also gets his own chapter in this game, which is neat too. Overall, I would say Shang Tsung plays a decent role in the game, but he's never the main villain, which means technically he's a side character, but I'd argue a pretty cool side character. Finally, it's time for the NetherRealm era. Mortal Kombat 9 mostly retells the story of past games. However, there's two very big differences for Shang Tsung. Number one, he made Mileena. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Although the timing is a bit different too. In the original games, Kitana was raised with Mileena and thought she was her actual sister. But in this game, Mileena is made when Kitana is already fully grown. So that's big change number one. Big change number two is that Shang Tsung is turned into a battery for Sindel. Yeah, straight up, Shao Kahn rips his soul out of his body and then puts it into his hoe. So not the best showing for Shang Tsung. In fact, this game overall is terrible for Shang Tsung fans because he loses to Kitana and other characters who never would have stood a chance in past games. Alright, time for Mortal Kombat X. Just kidding, Shang Tsung is dead in this game and completely missing. So time for Mortal Kombat 11, possibly the biggest W in Shang Tsung history. Because during Aftermath, the story mode expansion, Shang Tsung becomes the new big bad. He defeats Shao Kahn, Sindel, and even Kronika to become the Keeper of Time. Then Fire God Liu Kang shows up to stop everything, and he fails. Yeah, that's canon now. In one timeline at least, Shang Tsung is the victor of this battle between titans, which is crazy to think about, but also I predicted this. I called it in my own video celebrating Shang Tsung. I've already made a full video dedicated to this guy and why he's the greatest villain in Mortal Kombat, but I didn't think that NetherRealm would actually make him the winner in one of these timelines. However, this ending makes sense in my opinion, because Fire God Liu Kang is just Raiden plus Liu Kang, whereas Shang Tsung absorbed Shao Kahn and Kronika, right? A titan, so that's a big power up. Then he's also wearing the crown, which powers up soul users like himself, so that's a big power up, which is why I'm not surprised that Shang Tsung won this battle in at least one timeline. Which brings us to the big finale, Mortal Kombat 1, where Shang is both the main villain and a servant in the same game to himself. Yeah, it's kind of poetic how that came full circle, right? Shang Tsung begins as the master, then as a servant, and now to end the series as a servant and master to himself, which I just find heavily ironic. But technically, Shang Tsung is the puppet master in this game and solely responsible for ruining Liu Kang's perfect era. But then on top of that, Shang Tsung is the reason that multiple timelines exist, which is already bad, but then on top of that, Shang Tsung is responsible for Invasions mode. That's right, what a monster. He's the reason we have this terrible mode. Because Shang Tsung is the reason the timeline split, and that's why Invasions is happening. Which is just one more reason why Shang Tsung is the true villain of Mortal Kombat. Not only has he killed more key characters than anyone else and been the big bad more times than anyone else, but he also created what is quite possibly the worst mode in Mortal Kombat history. So if anybody ever tries to tell you that Shang Tsung is not the main villain, then show them this video, because I just proved it. Thanks for watching everyone, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below. If we get 2,000 likes on this video, I'll cosplay Shang Tsung. So yeah, leave a like to make sure that happens. And then finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.